Hi guys, it's James from the Lore Masters. We're back again with another deck profile, this time featuring my favourite deck, which is Steel Amethyst. You can see it on your screen right now, but we'll go through each of the individual cards soon. It got a lot of new toys over the last couple of days in terms of spoilers, so I'm pretty hyped to kind of show them off to you and give them a go myself, but we'll kind of go through the deck and explain why I've chosen certain things. So, right, let's get to it. Right. So you see the list here, so we'll go through it one by one. So first things first is Captain Hook Forceful Duelist. So if you've seen my other Steel Amethyst list, this one was here too. So it's a 1-drop, 1 attack, 2 toughness character with Challenger +2. So when he attacks, he goes to 3 attack, which means that he can very easily trade up to bigger characters, but very, very solid 1-drop. Very reactive card though, so generally if you're going first you won't be playing this card, you'll be trying to play Pascal, but very, very good, especially when you force your opponent to exert their character and then attack it with the hook. You can often trade up to a 3-cost character with this card. Very, very good. I absolutely love this card in all fairness. Speaking of Pascal, here he is. So while you have another character in play, this character gains evasive. Only characters with evasive can challenge them. So up until the latest batch of spoilers, the cheapest evasive character that existed was 5-cost. Now there has been a Peter Pan been revealed in Emerald, which is a 3-cost that has evasive. So it means that Pascal is a little bit more vulnerable, but the nice thing about that Peter Pan is it is vulnerable to fire the cannons. So Pascal is not written out of the books yet. But yeah, it's very, very handy. You'll find yourself, especially if you've got a few copies of this card, he will gain a lot of lore over the game if he's not answered. Because a lot of the times when you're answering your opponent's threats, this guy is just ticking away, gaining lots of lore points. He can very easily gain you up to 10 lore in a game if he goes unchecked. So very, very good card. I think this card is going to see a lot of play when the set is fully revealed. It's just absolutely crazy to have a 1-drop evasive. Right. So, Mickey Mouse Wayward Sorcerer. So, you pay 1 less ink to play Broom characters, and whenever one of your Broom characters is banished in a challenge, you may return that card to your hand. So far in Lorcana, there is very little that can kind of recur the same resources over and over and over. Mickey Mouse is one of them, together with the Broom characters, which shuffle back other cards from your discard back into your deck, but I'll go over that in a second. But he's very useful in terms of his stats are pretty good as well. But yeah, it's just so you can use your brooms, you can swing with the brooms, you can gain lore points with them, and it doesn't matter if they get killed in combat, because you're picking them all back up to your hand. If you have 2 of these guys on your board, your brooms then cost 0, so it's a very kind of handy card to have. He's going to be in one of the starter decks as well, so he's going to be pretty easy to get copies of this card. So yeah, by all means try it out if you're using Amethyst. Okay, MVP of the deck here, Elsa. So her ability is you exert herself to exert chosen opposing character. So the reason why this is important is we've got a lot of characters that are good when they're attacking, so you need to be quite aggressive with the game plan, because we've got quite a lot of rush guys as well. But you exert Elsa to exert your opponent's best character, you then attack over it, kind of gaining card advantage that way, and controlling your opponent's board. So once they're behind and they're trying to get onto the board, you're just continuously exerting their character with Elsa, attacking over it with your guys and keeping your opponent's board nice and empty, which means that you can then just concentrate on gaining lore points and winning that way. So she's very, very good. You'll generally find that your opponent gets very frustrated with her very quickly, so they'll aim all of their kill spells at her. I've seen far too many times people use Dragonfire on this card, which, you know, it answers it, but oh, how expensive is that? But yeah, very, very good card. Recommend you pick up 4 copies of it as soon as it drops. Speaking of Magic Broom, here it is. So when you play this character, you may shuffle a card from any discard into its player's deck. So this is useful for a number of things. So obviously you can play it up to, this become a 0-drop with 2 Mickeys, but generally you play it as a 1-drop with Mickey. You shuffle back your good cards, so things like Friends on the Other Side. If your Elsa dies, you send that back. You can send back your removal spells that you can't pick up, but it also can be used to mess with your opponent as well. So if your opponent is using steel, you can shuffle back their Fire the Cannons, which means they can't pick them back up with 4-drop hook. If your opponent is using amber and they're using Hades, you can stop them kind of doing the Hades loop, which means that they're picking up each other by sending back one of them to the back of the deck. But it can be used both kind of in that way and shuffling back your opponent's stuff as well. I do hope that we do get another broom, so you can play up to 8 brooms with the Mickey Mouse. It just means it's a bit more consistent, because if you don't draw the brooms with the Mickey Mouse, they obviously don't work and they generally get inked. So let's hope we can get more, or just have a way to kind of find these brooms. Okay, the next thing is Hercules True Hero. So it's a free drop, free bodyguard. So the reason why we play this card is because we want to protect certain things in the deck. So first of all is Elsa. So Elsa has to exert herself to use her ability, which means she's then vulnerable to attack. So it can be that your opponent's got a rush guy and wants to attack Elsa. It could be that they've already got additional things on board and you need to stop that Elsa being attacked. But also, we play the new 4-drop Zeus in this deck. So if you play this on turn 3, you can then on turn 4 play Zeus and swing with it because it's got rush. And because the Hercules is there, it can absorb the attack and your Zeus will be safer. It's worth mentioning that you can use Hercules as a friends on the other side target to sing it for free, and the bodyguard will still work. So it's a nice kind of cheeky way to draw 2 cards for 0 ink. Right. Captain Hook, Captain of the Jolly Roger. So when you play this character, you may return an action card named Fire the Cannons from your discard to your hand. So that means that we can use Fire the Cannons up to 8 times in a game. There is also Simba in this deck as well, the new Simba, the 1-drop, which can discard early Fire the Cannons to your discard pile when you're normally playing characters and you don't want to waste your early turns playing removal. And then on turn 4 you can play this guy to pick up that cannons back to hand. That's a nice little trick you can do, but often you are using this guy as a free 4, so he's pretty big, and just continue using Fire the Cannons. So for example, you could go Fire the Cannons, play this guy, pick up cannons, use it again. It's a nice way to answer things like Genie, which you normally can't touch in combat. But yeah, 4 copies is a must. The only thing with this card is if you don't see Fire the Cannons, or your opponent shuffles it back and things like that, it's very dead very early on. But again, that's a pro for Simba, because if you see this card early, you can just discard it with the Simba, and just get another card to replace it. So it's very handy to kind of just do that now. Hopefully we do get a way to tutor Fire the Cannons from deck to hand, and then this card will be much more consistent. But it's worth playing 4 copies at the moment, just because of how useful it actually is. Right, so the next card is Prince Eric, Dashing and Brave. So the deck needed a good 2-drop, and at the moment Prince Eric does tick all the boxes because he does answer your opponent's 1-drop cards. You can play this on turn 2 and you can beat over their 2-2, and Eric still lives. Chances are he's probably not going to be defeating anything in combat when your opponent swings at him, but he's still absorbing an attack and doing a little bit of damage to your opponent's character, but he also survives in that combat as well. Unfortunately, Magic Broom on turn 2 is not very good, because it would be forced to trade with a 1-drop and you wouldn't get it back because Mickey won't be on the board, so you do need to be playing a 2-drop of some kind. If there are some more 1-drops released that are playable in this deck, then you could probably just drop Eric out of the list, and then on turn 2 just play 2 1-drops instead. But at the moment he's useful because he can trade up to a free toughness guy, so generally he trades up to a free cost character, so he's not bad. He works well with Elsa. So you play this on turn 2, Elsa on turn 3, exert something with Elsa and get the Eric to attack it. He's also very useful following up from a Pascal on turn 1, because there isn't anything in the game that can do free damage on turn 2, so that Pascal is not going to be defeated in a challenge, because your opponent won't be able to get rid of the Eric. Okay, Maleficent Sorceress. So when you play this character, you may draw a card. So very handy because she flat out just replaces herself when she comes into play. It means that you're developing your board and also gaining card advantage. She's also a target for friends on the other side because you can use her to sing for free and draw 2 more cards. So you're gaining 3 cards from just playing this card. Very, very good, especially when you're getting low on resources after you've built your ink up for a while. Because like I said, she develops your board and draws a card as well. Very, very cool card. Make sure that you pick up your 4 copies when it comes out, because I think it will still see a lot of play. We go Rafiki. So he's a 3-drop, uninkable, 3/3 with Rush. So it's very useful if you're going second, because it's a bit more of a reactive card. So when your opponent is playing a turn 2, say they're playing a 2/3 or something like that, and they attack, you can play the Rafiki on turn 3 and then attack over it and defeat it. If your opponent's playing Elsa as well, when they exert the Elsa thinking that they're safe because you've got no board, you can play the Rafiki and run over it. It's just a very, very useful card to have. Rush is very good, but it is a reactive thing. Kind of playing it on turn 3 when your opponent has got no exerted characters doesn't feel the best in the world. So generally you want to do it when you're reacting to what your opponent's doing. It's worth mentioning that all of the Rush cards that have been revealed so far are uninkable. We believe that to be on purpose, to make them less powerful. So we just need to be a bit careful about kind of what we're choosing to play in it. But now that Simba has been revealed, if we are drawing a bit too many uninkable cards, we can discard them and draw a fresh card. Okay, so speaking of Simba, here he is, one of the new cards. So his ability, Guess What? When you play this character, you may draw a card and then choose and discard a card. So, why is this useful? Because it allows you to play a higher amount of uninkable cards than you normally would. You don't have to exert like Tinkerbell, like 3-drop Tinkerbell, to use this ability. It just literally happens when it comes in. Its stats are okay. It's not going to be defeating anything in combat out of, say, like a Pascal, or maybe itself. But it's useful because you kind of filter your hand and you can get to see a few more cards. Like I say, you can ditch and early fire the cannons when you're not wanting to use it against your opponent, and then pick it up with 4-drop hook. It's very useful to do. But yeah, it's mostly so if you do draw a load of uninkable cards and you need to have an inkable card so you can continue to develop your ink well. It's very handy to have. I'm very glad they printed it. I'm very happy with this card. And finally, for the characters, another new one is Zeus, God of Lightning. So he's a 4-drop uninkable with Rush and with Challenger 4. So while challenging, this character gains +4 attack. Now, there's a little bit of kind of misunderstanding of these cards that have got 0 attack and Challenger, because people view it as, oh no, you're going to defeat something in combat, but then your opponent's going to be able to swing at it and it doesn't hit them back. So, okay, that's absolutely fine. So the way of kind of thinking about this is, yes, if you play this Zeus, you attack something and you defeat something in combat and the Zeus is still alive with, say, 1 or 2 life points left, and your opponent kills it, that's fine. You've already done a 1-for-1 because you defeated something in combat with it, and your opponent has then used an attack, or used a turn they could be questing to attack the Zeus to get rid of it. Which is absolutely fine. It means that they haven't gained any lore points and they've wasted an attack that could have been used on something else. So as long as this card defeats something in combat when it comes in, it's absolutely fine to die the next time. Saying that though, if obviously you get 2 swings out of it, brilliant. Which means that you can play Elsa on turn 3, and then when you start your next turn, you exert something with the Elsa, play this card down, attack into it, you can get something big out of the way. That's one play. On turn 3 you could play Hercules Bodyguard, and then play this on turn 4 and attack something, and as long as the Hercules is exerted, which it should be, it will protect the Zeus from being attacked, and then next turn you can attack the Zeus again and take something else out. So there is ways to kind of protect it, but like I say, if you're literally just coming down, defeating something in combat, and then the Zeus is dying next turn by one of their swings, that's absolutely fine. Don't worry about it. You've already gained advantage. You've already took something out in combat, and your opponent's then invested in attack when they could have just been, getting a lore point that turn. So just something to think about. Okay, so that is all the characters. So there's 48 in total. So the next thing is the action cards. So first of all is Fire the Cannons. I keep saying this, it's the best removal card in the game so far. It's just a flat out deal 2 damage to chosen character. Because you can recur this with the 4-drop hook, that's what makes it so good. If you couldn't, it'd be pretty average. But Yeah, dealing 2 damage is nice. Often you have to spend probably 2 of them to deal with the bigger things, like Genie, like some of the bigger evasive guys, or you can pair this with Smash, the next card we're going to see, to do 5 damage. It's just useful to have these cards so you don't have to defeat things in combat, or you use them to finish characters off. So say like your opponent attacks over one of your characters with Rafiki and leaves a couple of points of damage on the Rafiki, then you can just finish it off with the cannons. And like I said, you can pick this up if you discard it from Simba, then pick it up with a Captain Hook on turn 4, you've got it back to your hand. So very, very useful card. You shouldn't be playing any less than 4 copies. You do generally try to mulligan for this card early on, that way you can use it early, and then on turn 4 you can pick it up with your Hook. It just keeps things moving a lot more smoothly. It means that you're not playing Hook on turn 4 with no effect, because that doesn't feel great. So here's Smash. Now Smash is a card that I feel is a little bit overcosted. It would probably have been fine at 2, but there isn't any other choices for kind of removal cards so far, so we have to play it. So it's 3 damage for 3 ink, and it is inkable as well. It does work well when you're pairing it with Fire the Cannons, because it does equal 5 damage. So things like Aurora Dreaming Guardian or Stitch Rockstar are all 5 toughness. Jafar, if people still play it, which we don't in this deck, because we don't actually run White Rabbit's Pocket Watch anymore because of all the Rush guys. But yeah, it's just nice having that kind of additional damage other than Fire the Cannons, because sometimes just Fire the Cannons just isn't enough. As soon as there is a card that is better than Smash, we'll replace it. If there isn't, that's fine. Smash will just stay in the deck. It's not bad. It's not just wonderful either. It does a job. Okay, and the last thing is 4 copies of Friends on the Other Side. So, character with cost 3 or more can sing this song for free, draw 2 cards. So I mentioned a couple of the good targets earlier to use this for, but we do have a lot of things in the deck that can sing this song for free. So Maleficent, Hercules, even things like Zeus. Just bearing in mind, just because a character has Rush, it doesn't mean it can sing the turn it comes in. It just means that it can challenge the turn it comes in. But yeah, we've got lots and lots of different targets that can draw this for free. You just don't want to use it for free if it will put you in a bad position. But if that character is only going to be standing there or just gaining 1 lore point or whatever, you might as well use it to draw 2 cards early on in the game. Chances are 1 lore point that early in the game is not going to make that much difference. You are much better off drawing 2 cards and keeping the aggression on. A very, very good card. Honestly, it's going to see play when it comes out as well, because, you know, a draw 2 cards for just tapping one of your characters is pretty damn good. Okay, so that is the deck as a whole. As you can see, we've kind of got all the new bits in there. We've got the Simba, we've got the Zeus. I mentioned earlier, we don't run Jafar anymore. We don't we don't run White Rabbit's Pocket Watch anymore. Because we don't run either of those, we just have to be a little bit aware of 5 toughness characters. But I'm trying Zeus out just to see what it's kind of like. If it doesn't work out, then I probably will put Jafar and White Rabbit's Pocket Watch back in. But yeah, give the deck a go. I'm going to have a lot of fun giving it a go. I'm probably going to play this on live stream in the next couple of days once all the cards are available on Pixelborn. But I hope you enjoyed the deck profile, and we'll catch you next time. Bye!